Hey there, everybody. PTPOP here on Call Center Survivor, where I lead you out of the rabbit hole, one grain of truth at a time. And today, we're going to talk about Gen Z. And if they've got it all figured out, stay tuned, everybody. It's a good one. We're going to jump right in today. And I'm your host, PTPOP. Thanks for watching. In this episode, we're going to peel back the glossy lies that they sold us as a society and a culture, from social media to school, work, and wellness, and reveal the raw, unfiltered truth. Because if you're feeling lost, angry, or just completely done, aren't you feeling done? I'm done. I'm almost 60 years old, and I've been done for 20 years. They stuck a fork in me a long time ago. Well, you're not crazy. You're just finally waking up, okay? So I'm going to start right away here with this fine young lady here on TikTok. And her channel is Trash Onista. And she's a very eloquent young lady that talks about Gen Z. Now, let me say a little bit about Gen Z. I'm Gen X. And my generation just got a little taste of the lies. And I definitely started to see the lies when I was in college. I sussed that something wasn't quite right in college, but I didn't really figure it all out till I was well into my 40s. It took me a while. You know, I'm a little bit slow in the uptake. But I think Gen Z, I think all of you guys out there, they have passed you off as being lazy slobs that don't want to work. I don't agree with that. I think you finally realized that everything that all of us in Gen X and all the baby boomers before you bought into. We bought into it hook, line, and sinker. Go to college, get a job, be who you want to be all you can be, join the army, be a basketball star, be a rock star, be a writer. You know, all the things I fell for. You can become a senator, you can be a fashion model, you can do anything you want to do in this country and be happy, you live happily ever after. I think Gen Z has figured it out. It's all baloney. Oh, baloney. So let's hear what this young lady has to say.
Education. My second semester.
I'll start over again.
When I started higher education, my second semester, COVID happened. And since I've been in college in the COVID generation, I have heard repeatedly, professors and people within the institution talk about the fact that the classroom is declining. Enrollment is dropping, attendance is dropping, student participation is dropping. And the other day in class, one of my professors mentioned that, like, because of COVID, you know, you were teaching and everybody was in a black box about what our futures are supposed to look like. More importantly, we have expectations about what our reality is supposed to look like. We have expectations about what our present moment is supposed to look like constantly.
So this is the part where she's spot on, okay? The rest of it was kind of like her trying to figure out the system and the educational system. Here she's talking about the expectations society puts on you. And they tell you this is how your life is going to be. This is where she's spot on.
And when COVID happened, every single thing was flipped completely on its head. Every single expectation about what your day-to-day life is supposed to look like, every narrative they told us about what is and is not possible under capitalism, every narrative they told us about, you know, these milestones that you're supposed to be meeting. College are the best years of your life, you know, going to prom, graduating, all of those milestones that make us American and that make us people under this system and give us these like collective experiences to share together, completely stripped away, completely taken from us. And so at that point, what occurred is Gen Z as a collective understood everything is meaningless.
And I completely agree with her. So I am one of the tinfoil hat wearing lunatics that I don't believe in the COVID narrative. And I don't believe that it came from just by accident or just surprisingly came out of some lab in Wuhan. I think it was a huge, massive psyops where everybody just basically was just beat over the head with a stick with fear-mongering, lots of fear-mongering, and vaccines that ended up killing people. And I think it backfired on them, those who created this, quote, pandemic, unquote. because they didn't think people would wake up. They didn't think people go, oh, maybe this is all a lie. And what happened is the younger generation went, this is all bullshit, man. And the younger people went, and we're not living by these rules anymore, guys. We're just not doing it. We're not working anymore. We're going to live off the system. We're not going to go get these meaningless jobs. They're finding out college is a lie. It woke everybody up to how much everything was a lie. It was like a slap in the face. Instead of putting people into the deeper trance, which it did, a lot of the younger people, it woke them up. It was like a slap in the face, like somebody threw a cold, glass of cold water in their face.
Oh, okay. So all of this shit that you guys are telling us to believe in is fucking fake.
Yep.
It all is just fake. And what happened is we internalized the fact that, okay, so this is, society has its own version of reality, and I have my own version of reality.
Yep.
And society's is always going to win. So now I have this perspective, I have this sense of self that does not at all align with what the world is telling me is happening. And so we have disconnected who we are from the world, and we've coveted ourselves. We've seen that the world is like, I actually just want you to perform, and yourself doesn't have
They want us to perform like puppets. They want us to perform like organ grinder monkeys and just jump around as they pull the strings.
Place. And so Gen Z internalized this understanding of, when I'm out in the world, I'm of the world that is kind of doing its own thing. And so that means I just need to play into the world doing its own thing. And then when I get to my private safe spaces, that's where I get to have myself. That's where I get to have my opinions. That's where I get to have my thoughts, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. And so I think that's very well said. So when you go out in the world and go to work for a major corporation, when you walk through the threshold of that company, to take your desk on the first day, they tell you what to wear. They tell you when to speak, when to go on lunch. They tell you what to say and how to say it. They tell you what you can and can't do in the confines of that company. If you step out of line, they get rid of you. But the minute you leave the confines of that building at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, or whenever your shift ends, you go home. And you get in your car and you turn on your radio, or you're playing your CDs, your MP3 player. You get to chill and be who you are. Go home and play video games, shoot the shit with your friends on whatever social media platform you're on. But once you leave that environment, you have to abandon your identity, your real identity, who you really are. You can't walk into a company and start spouting off communist agendas or anything like that. You have to just completely keep your mouth shut. You have to smile, even though you got a mouthful of shit.
And so I've recognized this within myself, of course, but like the classroom has really become a place where students are like, all right, I'm going to take in this information. I'm going to pass the test. I'm going to speak up when I know what I have to say is right or valid. And then I'm going to go home and when I started higher education, my second semester, COVID happened. And since I've been in college in the COVID generation, I have heard repeatedly, professors and people within the institution talk about the fact that the classroom is declining. Enrollment is dropping, attendance is dropping, student participation is. When I started, et cetera, et cetera. Nostalgia is prevalent. Nostalgia is constant. They're always doing remakes, because we're at this point now where we can't grow any further. And we just keep repeating the same cycles, the same histories over and over and over and over. So we're like in this nowhere place.
Yeah, and it's true. And I've been on the planet for almost 60 years, and I see it over and over and over again. Tonight, President Trump just bombed Iran, okay? Way back when I was a little kid, Iran, some group of militants or somebody took like 30 of our students hostage. They were really CIA operatives, and they held them hostage for like 2 years until President Reagan came into office. And ever since then, they've been perpetuating this idea, we've got to bomb Iran, got to bomb Iran, got to bomb Iran. It's said over and over, and finally we did it. But this has been the story ever since I've been alive. They keep pushing war. They keep pushing, fighting and guns and war and equality, inequality, equality, inequality. got to go to college. You've got to do this. You got to do that.
Can't fathom what the world looks like on the other side of capitalism, but we're living in a future past. Like we're repeating the past, but in the future version of it. That's the liminal space.
Yeah, it's just regurgitated over and over again. War, politics, hate this politician, hate this religion, hate this group of people because of their skin color or their their religious beliefs. It goes on. It's been going on for centuries, thousands of years. It's been going on. They just keep repeating it, and we just keep swallowing it.
Of late stage capitalism, and now Gen Z, our personhood, our bodies, our minds, our souls, and our spirits, and our ability to connect with other people has become a representation of that liminal space. We are literally walking embodiments of that liminal space all the time. There is a self in there. There is authenticity in there waiting to be met. But we're meeting this block where we cannot fuse the independent self and then like the performance of what we're supposed to do when we're out there in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I go through this too. I'm Gen X. And you're one person here. I'm one person here at home. But the minute I walk outside this door and I go to work for somebody, you can't be that same person. Because I'm a totally different person at work than I am at home or with my wife or with my friends. And it's inauthentic. You have to put on a fake face. You have to put on a mask to go to work for somebody. And I think Gen Z is discovering it and they're seeing it. They're like, shit, I've really got to go into some god-awful drugstore and work for people at a cash register and pretend I'm having a good time and put on a smile. And I've noticed that lately when I've gone into news stores like Best Buy, or if you go into the local drugstore, they've got greeters now, kind of like the old Walmart greeters. Like, hi, sir, hi, can I help you? Mr. Oingo Boingo and I want to help you. What are you looking for today? And I see that in restaurants. I see it all over the place. I'm very sensitive to this stuff because that's kind of what I studied in college, body language, group discussion, things like that. But I'm very aware of the manipulation that they're trying to make people feel welcome because their people's storefronts are closing.
Like we need a fusion of that. Like this is who you are when you're yourself and you're with the world. You can be both, and that's called authenticity. But at this point,
but you can't be both. You can't go out in the world and be who you want to be. You can't go out and spew anti-capitalist garbage that people perceive to be garbage and still have a lot of friends and get along. You can't. You just can't unless you really want to fight every day of your life with people on the street.
When I started higher education...
Oh, stop it. Why does that keep going
what we're supposed to do when we're out there in the world. Like, we need a fusion of that. Like, this is who you are.
No, that's a fantasy right there. You'll never have a fusion of that. You'll never have a fusion of it as long as type A white male, psychopathic white males run the corporate world and are making products we don't really need. And you go to work for that company, they're going to tell you, shut the fuck up. A smile on your face, orally service to customers, and anything outside of that, you're going to get fired.
You're yourself and you're with the world. You can be both, and that's called authenticity. But
it's not. It's called fantasy world. There's no way you can combine the two together outside. Because if you walked into a party and you started talking about anti-capitalistic stuff like this, you wouldn't be at that party very long.
In order to
but you be authentic. Be authentic.
Students to make that connection and that fusion and live like independent lives that they deserve to be living and have independent identities that they deserve to be having. I think that we have to like encourage each other and encourage students to imagine what their life would look like outside of capitalism. Because,
well, I'm going to stop her with that because she's going with an anti-capitalism thing. So I don't know if she's a communist. I don't know what her political affiliations are, but she's thinking from an ideal perspective, the ideal situation of merging these two. Like mind meld, like your Spock, you're mind melding with the corporate world. The thing that you've got to remember, be as ideal as you like, and you can wish upon a star, that things would change. But let me tell you this. You can wish all you want that you can meld these two worlds together, your personal, who you really are, with the outside world, whether it's working for a capitalistic company or just at a party. But you can wish as much as you want.
Well, you can wish in one hand and crap in the other, and see which gets filled first.
And that's the truth. She's speaking from an ideal perspective, not based in reality. Because right now, if you get a bunch of Gen Zers that can go out in the world and try to do something different, what you'd have to do is start a whole new way of working. Because everybody needs to work. Everybody needs to make a living, because that's the way it works. Whether it's here or in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or in Canada or in Mexico, you have to make money to have food, and you have to have money to put a roof over your head and have water and all those things. So you've got to get on your knees to somebody at some point in your life and say, I'm going to humble myself and do anything I can to get that money, because that's the only way they can do it. I don't know how you're going to melt the two worlds. I think she's speaking from a very idealistic perspective, and I don't agree or disagree with her. It's a nice idea in theory, but how are you going to survive? You're going to have to change the whole structure of the way people make money. You'll have to revamp capitalism. You'll have to have another way of people not living in the street. I don't know if she says anything else here, because
right now that fusion's never going to occur, because I think that all of Gen Z kind of has this understanding of like, I don't have anywhere else to go. I know that everything that's happening is bullshit and completely and utterly made up and can be flipped on its head and taken from me and exploited at any given point. Like,
she's right about that. It's all bullshit. All of it is. High school, doesn't matter. High school, college, having kids, getting married, all of it's bullshit. It's all a lie.
Completely overnight, which is exactly what happened during COVID. We all know that. We're like, you made this up. And you proved to us that you made this up. Okay, so we know that this is all bullshit. But fine, I don't have any other options, because you control everything. And we became increasingly aware of that during COVID. We were like, oh, okay, right, you guys can control and do whatever you want with this. So my ability to fight the system, I'm not really getting fired up about that, because COVID also showed me who's in control completely in a way that's like, not really, it has not been seen in like the last century. When was the last pandemic? Whatever. So in order to awaken the self and like encourage these students to move within authenticity and be more empowered in the classroom, they really, really have to believe and start finding ways to imagine a life outside of capitalism. But in order to do that, they also have to feel that they have an autonomy and feel that they have possibility right now.
Well, see, she's anti-capitalist. She's an anti-capitalist, which is fine. But what she's not really thinking about the big picture is that it doesn't matter whether it's capitalism or communism or socialism or whatever religion you believe in. I mean, everybody is held to a standard that's made up. It's all bullshit. They make up these fantasy stories about magical men in the clouds that are going to come down and save you, or they make stories up that if you step in a crack, it'll break your mother's back, or if you wish hard enough, you can heal your spine, or if you wish hard enough, you become a millionaire. If you follow a certain religion, you're going to have all kinds of wonderful things in the afterlife. They get you coming and going. It doesn't matter whether it's capitalism or communism or socialism. It's all designed to bedazzle the masses and to make them think they found a savior. They found some type of icon or person or deity that's going to lead them to safety, to bring them wealth and all kinds of prosperity. But the problem is you're dealing with men, predominantly men, who are devious, power hungry, sociopathic, psychopathic, that aren't really, they don't care about you and me. That's what she's missing. They don't care about you and me. They want to control you, because there's billions of us on the planet. And as long as they can control us, they can make their money off of us. They can get their pedophile islands. They can have their leather mistresses on the side. It's all baloney. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what country you're from, the color of your skin. They've got you all by the short hairs. So her idea is nice because she's young. And I'm not putting her down because she's young. But she's not seeing the whole picture, that all of it's baloney. and I don't know her political affiliations. I have a feeling she may swing towards the communist agenda. But even that's not an answer. It's never been an answer. It's been proven that the communism is dying. It's dead. It's pretty much dead except for allegedly just in China, like North Korea or something like that, maybe Vietnam. I don't know anymore. And people fall for it. Like, well, I guess we'll try that. Okay. So what are you going to do? The next new thing that they come up with, we'll call it boogadoggery, where they make you eat your own boogers and slap yourself in the head with a board. People will start doing it. They'll be like, oh, I love it, Okay, now to show your faithfulness to the country and to bring peace of mind to yourself, we ask each and every one of you to cut your first child's little finger off when they're born. Cut off their little finger and stick it in your ear, and people will do it. They'll be like, oh, look, I got my kid's finger in my ear. Because people are basically, they know that each and every one of us are driveling idiots, and they'll do whatever they tell them to do. They'll do whatever they tell them to do. So I think it's a nice idea in theory, but I think Gen Z may have the answers. They're seeing, I think the positive thing here is that they're seeing that there are cracks in the foundation of the old way of doing things, I think is what she's trying to say. And COVID opened up all of the Gen Zers' eyes, and they're seeing there's a different way of living our lives. And I think the future may be in that, as long as they don't try to go to some antiquated system like communism or socialism, where everyone thinks it's going to be sunshine, puppy dogs, and rainbows. It's been proven that those two systems don't work either. So where do you go? Capitalism doesn't work, socialism doesn't work, communism doesn't work. Where do you go from there? She's thinking in a utopian framework and an idealistic framework. That doesn't work either because it's fantasy. It's all fantasy. You're not dealing with all the variables. Somebody always gets power hungry. Somebody always rises to the top and starts screaming again, saying they want power. And everyone listens to them because they scream and yell. And everyone listens to the guy that screams and yell, whether it's Hitler or Trump or Mussolini or Biden or whoever it happens to be. Everyone, oh, he's screaming. Oh, look over there. Jill, look at this man's over here screaming about something. We better listen. Oh, he makes lots of sense. The problem is that there are no real answers because people, it's an asylum down here. Everyone's freaking nuts. And they're getting nuttier as the days go by. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what the answers are, but hopefully Gen Z can figure something out for all of us and maybe make it a better world. Because, my time on this planet is limited. As a Gen Xer, the boomer people are passing away left and right. Maybe Gen Z can save us and come up with like the Gen Z elixir, that makes us all happy and live together and live like little happy puppy dogs and unicorns. I don't think that's ever going to happen because you've got some really severely mentally ill and twisted people down here from their environment that we live in, from the poisoning in the food and the chemicals in the water and everything else. Everyone's lost their freaking mind. So I don't think you're going to find a utopia down here anytime soon. From what the Bible says, the only utopia you'll find is through Christ and in heaven. But I don't know. I don't have any evidence of that being real. So who knows what the answers are. So I'm PTPOP. Let me know what you think about Gen Z, or if you think there's another way to live this world. Leave a comment down there in the comment section. Give me the thumbs up. And I hope you all have a good day. Hasta la vista, baby.
My own demons fuel my tears and to keep me on my knees. Now I walk 1,000 miles in your shoes. My heart is torn and tattered, my ego bruised. Then I think I understand you now. Yes, I understand you now.